Hello everyone, and welcome to the continuation of Sonic Advance 3. In this video, we are going to be moving on with Zone 3, Ocean Base. But before we get started, we're going to be switching to the big homie Knuckles. We unlocked Knuckles in Zone 2, Sunset Hill, but now we're going to be playing as him for the entirety of Ocean Base. But first off, I'm going to be choosing Tails as my tag partner for the first two acts, as he will come in quite handy. In fact, it's actually mandatory to have Tails as a tag partner when playing as Knuckles, at least for the first two acts, because Knuckles has the ability. I mean, when you're teamed up with Tails, Knuckles has the ability to double jump before gliding, as you will see in just a moment when I repeat this process multiple times. So we're gonna go through this oil fall, and then we're gonna continuously glide upwards as fast as possible. So even after double jumping, I mean, the reason why this is so useful is because after double jumping, all of Knuckles' momentum, horizontal momentum, completely cancels out before entering gliding formation, which helps Knuckles get up walls. Jump from wall to wall a lot faster. The level design could actually be a little bit confusing, especially when collecting the Chow, trying to get 100% in this game. Also, Knuckles can break through walls. I mean, when teamed up with Knuckles, or when you're obviously playing as Knuckles, breakable walls can be broken a lot faster, and there are even cases where some walls can only be broken when playing as Knuckles or having Knuckles on your team. That's another thing I should discuss too. The traits of, I mean, the different categories of the game, of the T formations. So, you see that circle at the top left? If you're paying attention to it in the last couple of videos, I went through that rail for somehow. If you're paying attention, the circle was blue, and it had Sonic's foot on it, and it said S. Well, S stands for speed, P stands for power. And the way the formations work in this game is that Sonic and Knuckles' traits are the most dominant of all the other characters, especially Sonic. Sonic's traits are primary to Knuckles, are a lot more primary to any other character. His traits are the most dominant because when you're teamed up with Sonic, or when you're playing as Sonic, you always have access to boost mode. Any character can get access to boost mode when teamed up with Sonic at all times. And whenever you're teamed up with Knuckles, and Sonic's not on your team, then you are then your team formation is power type instead of speed type. Which is, I mean, hence the red circle on the top left of the screen. And, yeah, like I said, Knuckles' traits are the second most dominant of all the other characters. So as long as Knuckles is on your team and not Sonic, your team is automatically a power type. And the reason why Knuckles' traits are are more dominant than the rest of the characters is because you are is because you have the ability to break through walls that can be broken without Knuckles, or when Knuckles is your tag partner. So your character is more powerful when teamed up with Knuckles. When you have a team that does not include, that excludes Sonic or Knuckles, or Sonic and Knuckles, then your team is a fly type, which is the tertiary formation of the entire game. Of the game. So basically, if you're playing as Tails, Tails or Cream or Amy, and Tails and Cream are on the tag team, then I probably didn't say that right, but I think you get the idea. There are a couple of exceptions though. If you're playing as Sonic and Knuckles is on your and Knuckles is your partner, or if you're playing as Knuckles and Sonic is your partner, you are still considered a speed formation. Referring back to what I was saying, Sonic's traits are the most dominant of the entire game. They're more dominant than Knuckles. Which, like I said, normally has something to do with all the characters getting access to boost mode. So, with all that out of the way, let's talk a little bit about Ocean Base. So, we already finished Act 1, while I was talking about the formations and the categories. And in that level, you're basically going straight up, but the level design can get a little complicated, especially when you're collecting Chow. When you're trying to get all the Chow and trying to get the special key to get to the special stage so you can collect all the Chaos Emeralds. Act 2 is sort of the same, but it's not as big as Act 1. Act 1 is definitely the biggest, or the tallest, of all three acts in the game. But Act 2 and Act 3 actually have water. One thing I should also point out that is in Sonic Advance 3, Knuckles can swim again. It doesn't matter which team formation, it doesn't matter which partner you select, Knuckles can swim, even when he's teamed up with Sonic. But basically, when you jump in the water, Knuckles will automatically float, and when you press down, Knuckles will fall down. You can also glide in the water, but Knuckles will actually look like he's swimming instead of gliding in the air. In Advance 2, a lot of things were taken away from Advance 1. I mean, Knuckles could swim in Advance 1, but in Advance 2, he couldn't even glide in the water. So, yeah. Then again, there's hardly any water in Advance 2. There's literally only water in one act of a zone. But enough about Advance 2. So, yeah, let's talk about Sonic as a tag partner when you're playing as Knuckles. By the way, you're not gonna see me go inside the minigame rooms ever again for the rest of this Let's Play. I just wanted to point that out. So, the thing about Sonic, the Knuckles plus Sonic team formation, is that Knuckles plays like his Advance 2 counterpart. You get access to boost mode, always. However, every time you punch, you don't shift forward. You don't shift forward anymore. That just goes for every other formation other than Tails, because when partnered with Tails as Knuckles, Knuckles can perform an uppercut. He can also perform an uppercut in Advanced 1 after performing a triple combo, a 3-punch combo. In Advanced 2, Knuckles' uppercut was implemented into his up trick. But enough about that. About the Knuckles-Sonic combination, Knuckles cannot glide. Instead, he jumps up and carries a lot of horizontal momentum forward into I don't know. He does like a horizontal headbutt, and the faster you go, the more horizontal momentum is carried into that headbutt. Now the headbutt is actually, I mean, this formation is actually pretty good for whoa, what the heck? How did I do that? I just, did you all see that? It's like I just did a headbutt backwards, trying to get the Chow, and then I did a spin dash backwards. That's what Knuckles can, yeah, I just took an L to the game's level design just now. Quite funny, I might say. So, Knuckles does a headbutt, and all that momentum is carried forward. And when you land on the ground, and not towards a wall, Knuckles will go into a spin. Knuckles will spin onto the ground. And it's very similar to Knuckles' forward trick in Advanced 2. Again, well, I should point out that Knuckles cannot perform tricks in this game at all. But I'll talk about that later. Here is Special Stage 3, and I'm gonna keep talking about Knuckles' abilities. But yeah, other than that, I would only recommend using Knuckles. I would only recommend using Sonic as attack partner with Knuckles if you're playing as Knuckles, like for speedrunning purposes or non-linear level design purposes. Because the headbutt does have its uses. I mean, you can use it as an attack, actually. It is an attack that you can use, as opposed to just gliding. But that's about it. That's part of the reason why, that's actually the primary reason to why I would only recommend using Knuckles' Tails for the first 2 acts of Ultra Base. This is also one of the 2 zones in the game that has water, at least in the first 2 acts. I don't think well, actually, Act 1 does not have water, but Act 2 and Act 3 have water. So that's the end of the third. As you can see, I collected the 3rd Chaos Emerald pretty easily. Not to brag, but like I said, I've said it before and I'll say it again. A lot of the special stages in this game are pretty easy, in my opinion. So, now that we've collected the 3rd Chaos Emerald, it is time to move on to the 3rd boss of the game. And we are going to be taking on... I'm looking it up on my phone. we're going to be taking on the Eggfoot, and this is one of the bosses in the game that are completely based on RNG, which is random number generator. Long story short, that's your luck in video games. And so far, I'm actually getting a lot of good RNG. Eggman floats into the air. Okay, there goes my RNG. Eggman floats into the air and moves left or right, and then when he stops, he will either land on the ground or he will close in his feet and then land on the ground and cause an earthquake, which are two different ways that you could get destroyed. So, after all that, that's the end of the boss. Pretty easy, pretty simple, not too hard to learn. And that's the end of Zone 3, which means that's the end of Part 3, and I will see you again in Part 4. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you again next time.